Diodíomh harde, Tá ma antasasta go man seániu, le get bag óla se rinsliv. Faú den féli móra atá ar an napi seo, no, but na plúdana atá os mohoir an seo. So that was Irish, and in English, I'm happy today, folks, to be here to share with you a little bit of knowledge about these great kilts, or belted plaid, or belted plaid, or just blankets that you see here on my bed. So I'm currently wearing one. This is my favorite one. This is Kennedy Modern. This is 13-ounce wool. It's fantastic. This is absolutely my favorite belted plaid, and the weather today is appropriate to be wearing it. Now, folks, I had two 16-ounce wool belted plaids, and they were wonderful and fantastic, but they were a bit heavy. I don't know about that word, but they were definitely bulky. Now, if I'm outside in very cool weather, I don't really care too much about bulk, because the point is to stay warm and safe and alive. So that doesn't matter too much to me. But what I've since done is ripped those two plaids in half, and I'm going to make traditional 4-yard box pleated kilts out of them. But I find this 13-ounce plaid to be absolutely class. So what you see here are several other tartans. We'll start with the next wool one that I have. This is Ulster Weathered. This is 10 or 11-ounce wool. It is 4 yards long, double wide, right? From my understanding, back in the day, most Highlanders had looms available that would weave what we call single weaves today, so between 25 and 30 inches wide. And they would weave a bunch of that, cut it in half, and then stitch the two pieces together to make today what we call double wide cloth. I find this one to be best for warm weather. Again, it's 10 to 11-ounce wool. It's way too light to make a traditional kilt out of this material, but for belted plaid, I think it actually is quite nice. Definitely choice for warm weather. Remember, wool breathes, and the next three that I'm going to show you don't actually breathe that well at all. So, Ulster Weathered, 10 to 11-ounce wool. This is one of Rocky's designs from USA Kilts. It is the Albanoch tartan. Albanoch is a band from Scotland. I highly recommend you check them out, but only if you like bagpipes and drums. If you don't like bagpipes and drums, then you won't like them. But anyway, Rocky and Albanoch worked together to create this tartan, which I think is quite nice. This is polyviscous material, so it's about 12-ounce. It's really great. Definitely wears differently than wool. I much prefer the movement of wool, but I love the tartan, and if Rocky were to ever make this in wool again, I would definitely be interested in buying some. This next tartan is also a product of Rocky and another band called Coup Du, and Coup Du is another bagpipes and drums band. They are very, very good. Definitely, again, like Albanoch, definitely recommend that you check them out. So they created this tartan together, and I think it's quite nice. Very, very different than the Albanoch tartan. Again, polyviscous material, roughly 12 ounces. It's polyviscous, so if you get it dirty or mussy, you can toss it into the washer, and then it's perfectly fine. You hang it up to dry. So that's a very strong advantage with that material. Finally, this is also, well, I am told this is polyviscous material, but this is the Canadian maple leaf tartan. It looks different than the other maple leaf tartan that I have. I was informed from the seller that there was a production made some years ago in Canada, and so this is kind of part of that batch. This is not 12-ounce polyviscous. I'd say this is 10 or 11 ounces, to be honest. I got it because it was very inexpensive, and I love the maple leaf tartan, so I went with it. Not too much coin out of the pocket, but it's very, very light, but it's polyviscous. So those are 4, and then 5. I have 5 plaids at the moment. Sometimes they come and they go. I'll show you shortly in how I put one of these on. In the meantime, some of the components are, I have these somewhat large, they're 3-inch leather belts from a company called Ravenswood Leather, double prong, right? I use these on the outside of the kilt. You may also have seen these penannular brooches here that men use to pin or tie up their plaid. They are not historically accurate according to the evidence that we have. These would have fallen out of use in the Highlands centuries before anything what we call a kilt came into the neighborhood, so to speak. They're cool and they're fantastic, and they definitely can add some nice bling to your kit. But traditionally, these would not have been used. Traditionally, what most likely would have been done is material would have been brought up and then tied together with a piece of like 12 tie or something, but it would have been tied together. Right. I'm currently wearing a modern sporran over everything. You can also wear what we call Rob Roy sporrans or whatever you wish. Rob Roy sporrans or just generally leather bags tend to have more of a historical look to them. This is definitely a modern sporran, and I'm fully aware of that. This belt here is holding, this top belt acts as kind of a cinch belt. It holds everything together. I like the look of having this big belt here, and it kind of pulls a lot of the fabric in, right? So that's very, very handy. You will see that I've got the sides tucked into the belt there. So here's the belt all the way around. And then this is just how the kilt falls. If I take this off, again, big beastly 3-inch belt, one's black and one's brown. And so if I lift up these long aprons here, you'll see that this is the belt that does all the business, right? This is a fabric D-ring belt I got with a pair of shorts years ago. And this would actually hold the kilt on my body. One thing I did do, I haven't done it with this kilt, but I have done it with my Albanach tartan, is I have sewn in belt loops. And I'll give you a closer look at that in just a moment. Here we go. So, what you see here is these black twill tape. I have sewn those into the kilt so I can just string this belt through it and put it on relatively quickly. It is definitely not as neat and tidy as this way, which is when I lay it out in the bed and hand pleat it. But this is deadly handy, especially if you have to take your kilt off and put it back on, right? And you don't want to do the hand pleating someplace wherever you might be. If the belt is through the belt loops, you simply put it on and off you go. But again, the look is a little more unfinished, I guess you could say. When I pleat it on my bed here, it's a very neat and tidy process. And so again, take this outer belt and put it over. And then if I'm just lazy, just take these and plop them in the back, up and under the belt. I'm going to do this more properly now and show you how I actually do that. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background about what I have, why I have it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention. I believe that's it, but you're welcome to hit me up with any comments. I'm happy to answer questions if you have them. I'm not a historian, I'm a science teacher, and so I'm not going to be the best source for lots of information. There are plenty of proper historians and people who've done the research out there that can help you out. And if I know any, I can point you to them. But I do know a little bit about a very particular thing, so I can try to help you there. Yeah, thank you very much. Good meal, Agus Boniki Saltas and La, and enjoy the day. Thank you.